governments, manufacturing, e-commerce, name them. They are there. And these particular applications, the limitation according to me is only your imagination. It's your imagination which makes up the limitation in terms of what applications can this technology be put to. And as we fast forward this technology, what we find is that the applications will certainly be many more, all pervasive in every facet of life that you can think about. I'm sure this is not anymore science fiction. It's all reality. I was just mentioning a little while ago, last Thursday, my wife and me were driving in Eastern Europe. We were in, at the end of it, my wife said the driver was extraordinary. He drove very well. While it is true, I was explaining to my wife, even to my wife at that point in time, is that the interesting one is that technology played a very important role in making the ride so comfortable. Why? You now have on most of these sophisticated cars, or even many cars now, even I guess there are some mid-sized cars which have some of these facilities. You have cruise control, you have collision control, you also have a lane control. So which means the car has become, the amount of assistance that comes to a driver is far many. So therefore, it's to a car, this is not fiction, this is reality. So the driver puts it on a cruise control, leads into a particular lane, it just takes you very smooth ride. There's an obstacle coming in, it slows down, obstacle moves out, it goes back to the speed. These are not expensive gadgets for sure. And so therefore that's one application one put together. Is it not making life comfortable? And I work with aircraft engines quite extensively, and I can't miss telling you this example, is that we have something called the aircraft engine. And what does it mean thereafter? Of course, it generates about 18 gigabytes of data per second. On a long-haul, 11-hour, 12-hour long-haul flights across transatlantic or the trans-Pacific flights, it generates about 250 teraflops of data. But then you analyze that, you are making sure that the safety goes up. So there can be so many applications with this new technology that is all pervasive. As I said, it doesn't stop here. How many of you have heard about a name called SMAC? SMAC, S-M-A-C. What does SMAC stand for? Surprise. SMAC stands for Social, Mobility, Analytics and Cloud. I'd like to congratulate Dr. Seshanani Garu because he has been saying that he has started a course in analytics at this point of time. He's also got a course going on in the media, cybersecurity, media, and so many new things. So all of them will equip you to get into new opportunities around the world. So while this technology is changing so rapidly, what comes to my mind is it also provides lots of opportunities. Opportunities for you to start working on them. I like many of you, if not all of you, to become entrepreneurs. You need to be a master of yourself. I decided to become an entrepreneur a little late in life. It's the only regret I had in my life. But all the same, I always keep saying, never late than getting started at least. But you are young. In my generation, when people were 21-year-old, 23-year-old, people said, no, you're too young to be an entrepreneur. You're too young to start a business. But you've heard about Mark Zuckerberg, the man who runs Facebook. He started the company when he was 18 years old. Steve Jobs became an entrepreneur when he was 19 years old. So therefore, age is not a criteria. It's a question of having the attitude. An attitude which says, if you want to become an entrepreneur, you have to become innovative. How do you become innovative? Challenge what is in existence. And what is in existence? Is this the right way of doing it? Challenge everything that comes across to you. You need to take risks. If you say, no, why do I need to take the risk? No, I'm taking not that I want you to jump from 100 feet and say, will I survive? No, you won't survive, I assure you that. But you should be prudently saying whether, if I can probably have this car running at 100 kilometers per hour, with giving you a gasoline of 12 kilometers, can we make it 15 kilometers per hour? I challenge what is in existence. People say, oh no, there's so many engineers who worked on it, Nissan Motor Company or Toyota Motor Company or Mercedes-Benz. No, you could have a new idea which will definitely make it far different. I don't know whether you heard about a company called Tesla Motor Company. Tesla produces electrical cars now, the leading edge company. So look at what he has done. I'll give you just one example. I can go on like this and I'll keep up my commitment of 15 minutes. Is that you apply a brake in a car, what happens? You're stopping the car. But what are you doing in the process, if you look at it technically, is that the energy which was going on in a wheel has been stopped. And actually that produces heat. The brake drums get heated up. So you gave energy from one direction to rotate the wheel. And when an obstacle came, you stopped it by applying the brake. So his theory was, can I reverse this energy back again? So when you stop the car, actually the energy comes back, energy starts charging the battery. So look at the innovation that he came about. This is not new, you don't need to be an inventor. I'm so delighted today that I had the opportunity of receiving this book on Steve Jobs from Mr. Sathyamurthy. I'm a great admirer of him. In very simple terms, that I keep calling Steve Jobs the magician. Nothing but he did was magic to me. In this mankind, there was no single individual who could bring about transformation in 3 different types of technologies. Computers, communication, and also in video. In all the 3, he made such an amount of technology changes. It's unbelievable. Just giving an example. Look at this phone many of you might be having. This is an iPhone 6, nothing more than that. Of course, created by Steve Jobs. The amount of power this computer has, people like me who learned computers for the first time in 1971 to 1973, that's the first time in IIT Kanpur I started using computers. Can you imagine how big was the computer which would have the same power of this machine? It would be housed in a hall like this. No exaggeration. And it would require one more floor above just for cooling tower. There were cooling towers, water-cooled machines they were. So therefore there were cooling towers to reduce the amount of heat that could be disseminated. So therefore, if you look at innovation, innovation is not something which is not there in anybody. It's there with every one of you. You need to have the ability to challenge the existence, take risks, making sure that you work in team, you have an open mind, and finally the most important thing is be persistent with your idea. Because idea cannot get changed overnight, it takes time to change. So the future looks very bright. Certainly, with all these changes in technology, it's a big threat for people like us because we already have a business which is going. Technology brings in tremendous amount of challenge to us. So long as we can keep pace with technology, it is not a threat. It becomes an opportunity. And this threat can come from anywhere you like. Have you guys heard about a company called Uber? UBER, Uber. It's basically a taxi service. Can you imagine that technology like computers could go and change the business model for a taxi service? That's what they did. Taxi services around the world. It's just not in the United States, it is not in Europe, it's not in India. Everywhere in the world is under big threat because of Uber. The guy came up with a new business model. He took the intermediaries out. He said, we'll, as I keep saying, digitization will dematerialize. So there are no more like taxi cars. They are all cars which come on a hire on a occasional basis. Or you look at bread and breakfast, B2B as it's called, bed and breakfast. Again, there they dematerialized. People don't own hotels, but they're a threat to hotels at this point of time. So technology gives you tremendous amount of opportunities. Technology will also threaten companies which are in existence. who will definitely succeed are people who can keep pace with these changes. So what do I leave message with you finally is 2 or 3 things. One is, as you graduate today, don't think everything has come to a stop. Learning continues. What I learned 50 years back, I still remember all right. It stands me in a good stead in very well, but it's also important I continuously learn. I can't do away without Googling all the time. Anything in mind that comes to me, I don't wait even momentarily. I go and Google. I want to be more knowledgeable. I want to be more knowledgeable than anybody else. That does not mean I'm the most knowledgeable person. What we're trying to do is the bar goes up. Knowledge becomes a part. Knowledge is not private to anybody. It is yours. It's a question of your attitude in terms of acquiring it. So continue to learn. Continue to learn all your life. The second message I'll leave behind with you is values are very, very important to you. Please do not forget about values. Somebody introduced ahead saying that the bottom line, the foundation for my company, we call it as values first. Fairness, integrity, respect, transparency and sincerity, or the sincerity and transparency. So those are very important. As one of my structural engineering professor at Kakinada Engineering College taught me, you lose your money, you can always get it back. You lose your health, it is difficult to get it back. But you lose your values, you will never get them back. So therefore the second one is keep an eye on your values. And third one, and the last message I have, is that there is an enormous amount of good that has been done to you by your parents and your teachers and also your friends. Parents, teachers and friends. Not that I can't speak all of them simultaneously, I'm saying in that order, but they're all equally important to you. So make sure that you respect them, you make sure your friendships continue and you have great time in your life. I'll finally conclude by saying that I am past. You know what my age is, I can approximately predict what my age is like. I certainly feel I'm past. I'm almost there in terms of saying that, look, my time is up. But I'll still continue to work till my time is up. But what I see in front of me, is my future. The shining eyes and the smiling faces that I see in front of me makes me feel that my future is in safe hands. God bless you.
And about the technology, about the capacity building towards the entrepreneurship, and moreover, all the things, the very important thing is attitude and to be innovative in all your endeavors. And besides, without values, I think nothing to speak. And always, every moment is a learning moment, and we should make a knowledge society through which the economic and social values also persist. The learning is a continuous process, and Dr. Mohan Reddy Garu, I think he I have been waiting whether he will tell or not. And when he was discussing with someone at the guest house, he was saying that he is now doing a course in leadership. He is doing a course in leadership. Yeah. See, at his age, at his role, and it is all. But we should learn a number of things from him. In Tirupati, so he went on road urgently, so he could attend the meeting. And Madam Commissioner Uttaralakshmi Garu also made a message that she could attend some meeting at Bangalore. So all the officials, they could not attend that, but they blessed them.
I feel it is a great privilege to introduce a great personality who hailed from this town, rather hailed from this great college. That is none other than Sri Paida Venkateswara Rao Garu. Paida Venkateswara Rao Garu graduated from PR Government College, Kakinada. Later he joined Andhra University and got his MA Statistics degree. And he stood first, university got university first. Later he joined the Indian Overseas Bank. He worked as regional manager from 1962 to 1986. Later he joined some capital trust group at New Delhi, and he worked as executive director from 1986 to 1993. Later he became entrepreneur. From 1993 onwards, he was an entrepreneur. He established the Vasavi Financial Services, Vasavi ProSoft Transcription Limited, and he is working for the upliftment of Vekar sessions. He built a temple at Uppalapadu village of East Godavari district, and he installed a pure drinking water plant supply, mineral water supplying for 1,000 families per day, almost covering 3 villages around that village. He founded in 2008, he founded the Vasavi ProSoft Transcription, that is imparting skills to Vekar sessions of the society free of cost, and that is mainly imparting the soft skills and other kinds of skills for the Vekar sessions, and he is also giving scholarships to many people. He is giving scholarships to poor students, particularly children of daily agricultural labor from Uppalapadu village. So with these few words, I request the beloved